Despite international concerns about food and nuclear security, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine continues. Mediation efforts have been underway, with Türkiye and the United Nations playing a central role. As the winter approaches, what are the chances of this conflict ending anytime soon? I'm Hassan Abdullah, and in this one-on-one, I talk to Ukraine's Deputy Foreign Minister, Emine Dzhaparova. Minister, it's been nearly 7 months since the war started. Did you expect this conflict to go on for this long?
We never expected that Russia could do what they have been doing for 8 years in my country, especially since 24th of February. So we should not have any illusion about countries that are aggressive, and Russia is obviously an aggressive country.
So when you say that, do you mean that your intelligence estimates had seen Russian statements as bluff, or were you actually expecting any small-scale sort of operation?
When we had our, since 2014, we have, this Normandy format of negotiation, we had Minsk agreements, so we now clearly see, and we don't have any illusion that they've been using this time to prepare for the full-fledged invasion. And of course, these attempts, I know, about the resolution of the war and the ceasefire agreement that was supposed to be signed, and the negotiations in Istanbul, in Antalya, in Belarus that we started since February, right, 27th. The first days of the war, a Russian delegation came and they were actually pointing out to the map and saying, we're going to kill you. Believe me, the initial plan of Russia was to kill Ukraine, literally kill the leadership of my country and take control over Ukraine over 7 days. And then their initial idea was that the whole world would again allow this to happen, as it happened in 2014. So this is a huge lesson. This is a huge conclusion that we all have to know, that Russia is using any kind of negotiation as time to prepare itself for actually its main ambition. The main ambition is, again, it's probably not rational. It's quite clear, it's quite difficult to understand this rationality of the logic, and this is not the way of how we should treat it. Because, look, when a leader, and Putin is this autocrat leader, has unlimited, unrestricted power for several decades, and the whole system is actually goes within this vertical, then this person considers the world as his own pocket, as his own yard, and the neighboring countries as their sphere of influence. And he openly says it. So I think that his idea about Ukraine, his perception of Ukraine, is the country that belongs to Russia. And we, in many ways, actually have been playing in line with Russia before 2014.
When you talk about ending the war, what are going to be the conditions acceptable to Kiev? Are we talking about the current status quo? Are we talking about taking back the territories that were occupied during the last 7 months? Or are we looking at, for example, retaking Crimea and the east of the country? What's going to be the red line for Kiev?
Any negotiation about the resolution of the war might start with the reintegration of our sovereign territories. Territorial integrity and sovereignty is something that cannot, may not, should not, and will not be bargained, traded, and compromised. And only after that, we can speak about reparations, we can speak about how Russia can save its face, because I believe that they discredited it already many times.
Now, there is a view that Russia sees this conflict as existential in nature. And there's an assessment that President Putin believes now or never. How far do you think he can go? Or has he lost the capacity to continue this war?
It's a very complex question. It cannot be responded with several messages or several sentences. Because the war, in the meaning of this comprehensive understanding, is not only the conventional war that we see on the south and in the eastern part of my country. It has many dimensions. Information, energy, economy, migration, everything is there. And I believe, and we see it, and we feel it this way, that in order to have a victory, we have to be efficient in all of these dimensions. And our strategy is also clear that, okay, let us weaken the Russian economy. It's a very sensitive issue because whenever Russia has strength to finance its army, to buy weaponry from the countries who are ready to sell this weaponry, we know these countries. When Russia is able to cover its expenses, mainly and first of all the military expenses, then it is capable of killing our people. So again, the sanctions that we request from our partners, and we have the sanctions, they influence, but still it has long-term and short-term effect and impact. The other way is the political pressure. It's also very important because if we say tanımama politikası, the non-recognition policy, it's not something that happens just because it is normal not to recognize violation of international law. Unfortunately, in the reality, you have to strive for it, and Ukraine did it best for 8 years to keep this issue on the agenda. And for example, the Crimea Platform initiative that we started in 2021 was about actually having this issue on the surface, because the Crimean issue had been slipping down for years, and then we started it as a diplomatic effort. Everything was about diplomatic effort, but then 24th of February drastically changed everything. So now our people doesn't have any doubt whether to fight or not to fight, how to negotiate, it's not about Ukrainian people. It is also truth, and I really want all those who will listen to us and watch this video and this piece of interview understand that the feeling of Ukrainian people that we will fight for our territory because it's something that of existential nature.
One of the international concerns in the context of Ukraine at the moment is the nuclear power plant near Zaporizhzhia. We've had some inspectors from the IAEA visit that area. The Russians are blaming the Ukrainians, saying that it's the Ukrainians who are shelling that area. How do you evaluate the Russian concerns? Why is Russia so keen on maintaining control when the technical staff is actually Ukrainian there at the moment?
Russia is the country that attacked us in 2014, and before they attacked Georgia in 2008, and they kind of try to have frozen conflicts in many other parts of the world. You have your case with Russia in Syria. I mean, we can see what is the play of this country. But then we also have to understand that it is an unprovoked war, that Ukraine is a country that needs help, because otherwise, if Ukraine will not be capable of winning this war, the aggression will be much bigger, and then it will grow, and then the larger scenario with the involvement of many other countries.
Your government is welcoming the creation of a possible safe zone around the nuclear power plant. What's the stalemate at the moment, and how are you going to break it? What are Kiev's plans to perhaps...
A nexus of international organizations, observers, and AIA experts is crucial, because no one can guarantee that Russia might provoke something, catastrophe, or and their shellings is a clear evidence that they might have a consequence of this. We don't know what kind of scenarios might be at the backside of these actions, shellings and so on. We can only guess, but I don't want to spell the guess here during this interview. So for us, it's crucial that international organizations have an access to the territory as a safeguard that the catastrophe is not going to happen.
Turkey has been mediating during this conflict. It's managed to bring together the foreign ministers of the two countries. What's preventing the presidents of Ukraine and Russia from coming together? President Erdogan has repeatedly offered for them to come to Istanbul and talk. What are the obstacles at the moment?
I probably may not be informed again, because there are tete-a-tete meetings of presidents and something that is not of my knowledge. But I think that the main obstacle is actually absence of will of Russia, because my president have been many times clearly saying that he wants to meet President Putin and to talk to him openly, and then this discussion might bring us to a result. And then we also are grateful for actually mediation that Turkey demonstrates, especially to the president of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who actually did his best to put together the puzzles, I would say, or this meeting to happen. But then I think that, again, the question is, what will be discussed during this meeting? I mean, we have our position, we know it, we don't hide it under the carpet. My president is clear that Ukraine has been targeted by Russia and attacked by Russia, that territorial integrity and sovereignty is the fundamental issue, and then everything on the top should be discussed according to these fundamental issues. This is what he would probably say to President Putin during the meeting. But then the other question is that President Putin, obviously by committing his crimes already for 8 years, is not ready to discuss it, because their position is that these are the will of people. We are saving Ukrainians from other Ukrainians. We are having and holding the special operation. You know, of course, if they live in their narrative, which is a false narrative and false reality, what might they discuss with Ukrainian side? So I think that Russia have been demonstrated absence of will for constructiveness. By the way, judging Ukraine and blaming Ukraine that we are not ready for negotiations, again, a very classic way how to escape responsibility. So as of now, we don't see potential of negotiation, because when it comes to the resolution of the war, Ukrainian position about having territorial integrity and sovereignty as a fundament is evident and clear.
Minister, thank you for joining us on TRT World.